This book is part of a recent resurgence in the study of early Rome. Although Roman history has always been a popular topic, arguably since the time of the Romans themselves, not every period has enjoyed the same level of attention. The late Republic, 1st century BCE, of Sulla, Pompey and Caesar, along with the early Empire, first 2 centuries CE, from the Emperor Augustus to Marcus Aurelius and Commodus, have usually claimed pride of place in both the popular imagination and scholarly circles. With their rich, contemporary literary tradition and robust archaeological record, we have always felt relatively confident discussing these later periods. They are the settings for most Hollywood movies on Rome, for example, Cleopatra, Spartacus and Gladiator, and the periods that most people imagine when mentally picturing Roman history, with the bustling metropolis of Rome at the head of a vast empire full of men in togas and grand marble buildings. While scholars have dithered over the details, the basic outline of events and the nature of society during these years are considered relatively secure. This roughly 300-year period has long represented the stable core of the modern discipline. Early Rome, 8th through 3rd centuries BCE, on the other hand, has often been relegated, even by scholars, to the position of a problematic and possibly even mythic precursor to this better documented later era. Although most would admit the literary narrative for early Rome is fascinating, with its colourful characters and dramatic events, we haven't always been sure what to make of it historically. In short, we can't agree on the answer to what really happened. Our understanding of early Roman history has traditionally been based on a collection of literary sources that were written many centuries after the fact, and which are of dubious accuracy, if we are being generous. When even the authors of our ancient sources, who we know were not afraid to tweak the facts to make their narratives more appealing, suggest you might want to take their version of events with a rather large pinch of salt, you know you're in trouble. We have long assumed that many aspects of early Roman history were simply made up by later writers. We just haven't been able to agree on exactly which aspects. As a result, and when faced with this uncertainty, most scholars have simply either accepted the narrative offered by these literary sources at face value, or have ignored it entirely, before moving on to later periods. Knowing the answer to what really happened in early Rome hasn't seemed to matter much. We were always limited by our literary evidence, which, not coincidentally, also viewed early Roman history as the opening act for the more important later periods.